on the left, right, this guy's hairline, if I had to judge it, maybe it's like a Norwood 5. It's not even growing that much. It looks like it's arrested at a specific length. Maybe he had a haircut, who knows. And his twin on the right, look at that. It's pretty much, he has this sort of juvenile hairline shape. So moving on to barely the next any photo we have over here. This is just another good comparison between twin A versus twin B. So let me just mark them down real quick so we have. Hey guys, before we continue this video, I would like to mention that we now have liposomal monoxidil sulfate on my website, folligens.com, FOLLIGENZ.com, and if the order queue is available and open, you can order it there. We're running it as a cosmetic. There are other sort of botanicals inside of this particular topical that are pretty helpful when it comes to conditioning the hair. So that's at folligens.com, FOLLIGENZ.com. That's FOLLIGENZ.com. Go check it out and maybe even try it out. See you there. Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another ad hoc video. So we're going to try to keep this short as possible and get to the point. So recently a subscriber of mine gave me a link to the Dutasteride twins and how their hair is faring today. And for those of you who don't know, I've made a video on this before, and even More Plates, More Dates years ago, he made a video on this as well. The Dutasteride twins are essentially two identical twins. Virtually, they have the same DNA. One twin, twin A, took Dutasteride, and twin B didn't take anything until 2010. So, and as you can see, they write just that here on their website. Now, their website is not publicly available anymore. They took it down for whatever reason, but you can access it by using the Wayback Machine, so that link will be in the description below. And we're actually going to have a bit of a look at the Dutasteride twins. So I downloaded all their photos over here, although they might have some minor facial differences due to fat distribution. Maybe one eats more and the other one doesn't. Don't assume that's going to make a huge difference as we're seeing right now when it comes to hair loss. This hair loss is androgenetic in nature, driven by DHT. So let's have a quick look at what's going on here, right? So we can clearly see on the left, right, this guy's hairline, if I had to judge it, maybe it's like a Norwood 5. It's not even growing that much. It looks like it's arrested at a specific length. Maybe he had a haircut, who knows. And his twin on the right, look at that. It's pretty much, he has this sort of juvenile hairline shape with barely any temporal recession. Now, when we look at the top-down view, right, the sort of global photographic assessment here in the right-hand upper corner, crown area for the twin that didn't take any sort of medication on time, you can see that it's very diffuse, very sparse. You're seeing a lot of scalp show. And the twin that did take Dutasteride, pretty much full density. Maybe a little bit of, some weak spots here and there, but you have to keep in mind that they're using a direct flash pointed downward at their scalp. So, of course, they're going to see some scalp show, but it's natural, is what I'm trying to say when it comes to the twin that took Dutasteride, that being twin A. And the differences are even more stark over here when we go below. We can clearly see that the twin A over here, the one that took Dutasteride, he just has a full head of hair. It looks like he has a juvenile hairline. And the twin on the right over here, twin B, like this is just an immense amount of hair loss, like a lot of hair loss, right? His midsection is pretty much gone. His hairline is at a Norwood 5, it seems. Barely there, to be honest with you. He pretty much has the occipital, temporal, parietal area. That's where he has most of his hair. And yeah, just a lot of hair loss with this guy for twin B. So that's very severe. And once again, we can kind of get a look at the crown area. Lots of hair loss. Lots and lots of hair loss. So let's look at some other photos before we look at how the twins look like today. So let's go back to the camera roll. And pretty much it's what we already looked at, right? This is another sort of view of them. We can clearly see that, one twin, the twin that took Dutasteride, he has again, a good hairline. And the one that didn't, his hair is very much miniaturized. Even the quality, like if you kind of just have a look at the texture of the hair itself, twin A that took dutasteride, the hair is very thick. It looks kind of a bit, coarse in some areas. It's very thick, and it looks like it has some weight to it. Whereas the twin that just didn't do anything on time, it just looks kind of, lifeless, right? It probably doesn't even retain moisture that well. So that's a very, very stark difference. And again, these guys are identical twins. So had twin B actually taken dutasteride, he would have gotten some really good results like his brother over here. So it's kind of, I can only imagine the anguish, just looking at that, you're like, crap, man, I should have gotten on it. But try to imagine this for your context, right? If you're somebody out there who hasn't tried treatment yet and you're seeing early signs of hair loss, you guys have to act fast, right? If it's androgenetic alopecia, act fast. I wouldn't even waste time with finasteride. Go right to dutasteride, 0.5 milligram once a day. Even some new studies came out recently. There are some treatment protocols where you can take dutasteride at 0.5 milligram twice weekly, even 3 times weekly, and you're going to get better results than finasteride. So just make the decision, right? I don't know why anyone would wait, and this should kind of be like a good sort of marker. Just looking at these two twins over here, or these twins over here rather, you can just see the difference being night and day, right? It's like looking at the version of you that actually did treatment on time versus the version of you that didn't. So you kind of decide your fate when it comes to that scenario. And if we look at some other photos over here, we already looked at this. I guess this is just more up close, right? This over here, this is for twin B, and you can see the severity of the loss. I think at this point, twin B went on treatment. So 2009 versus 2011, as you can see, there is some sort of increase in the midsection, and the crown is slightly recovering, but let's just be real, and we're going to look at this later. He's not going to get the same quality of hair, because once androgenetic alopecia starts, it's kind of hard to address the issues that caused it, right? There are physical changes that occur to the hair follicle, where over time, each follicle, let's say originally it used to produce 4 hairs, it starts to produce maybe 2 hairs, right? It downregulates in the amount of hairs that it will produce, and that by virtue will decrease the hair density. So although you may be able to recover those hairs and slightly, maybe improve hair count, you're not going to get to the pre-androgenetic alopecia sort of condition. And the longer you wait, it's going to be hard for you to reverse your Norwood pattern loss. So that's something to take into account. Once again, this is a really good picture over here. I'm assuming they probably washed their hair, and maybe it's a bit wet, but if we just look at it closely, yeah, like the midsection for twin B is very much depleted. Twin A, right? Like, okay, when you wash your hair clumps in weird ways and you're going to see a little bit of scalp, but still there's just higher quality hairs over here, right? And because they're identical twins, in theory, twin A could donate some hairs via hair transplant to twin B, but I don't know if they ever thought about doing that. Maybe it would be cool to have them on the channel one day for an interview. That would be a pretty cool interview. Anyway, going back to the photos. Yeah, just another photo over here. It looks like twin B is on treatment of some kind. So it's actually a tremendous improvement from his baseline, but he's not going to get back to where he would have been had he taken dutasteride around the same time as twin A, his identical twin brother. And this is just another overview. Let's just zoom in real quick. We already looked at these photos over here. This is just another angle to kind of see the severity. Like, look at the Norwood over here, right? The Norwood differences are kind of, insane. And these are identical twins, right? These are identical twins. So now we can look at the twins today. Okay, so now we're going to be looking at this picture over here. So as far as I know, this guy is not related to the twins. He's just a business associate. But this photo was one of the many photos that were sent to my email address, just kind of assessing the twins and their hair loss. So Jonathan, I'm assuming, yeah, this is twin B over here. It looks as if he probably had some kind of hair transplant. Maybe he recovered some hair to some extent, because he did say that he was getting on treatment on the twin hair loss blog website. And this is Patrick, and you can see the difference in their hair, right? Jonathan made a recovery, but Patrick, twin A over here, he didn't have to make a recovery. He still has that sort of, volume and density and thickness to his hair, that weight to his hair, because for the better part of maybe a decade and a half, he's been suppressing scalp DHT, right? Probably even longer than that. So this is the stark contrast in the long term. So Jonathan, twin B, did make a recovery of some kind. He did make a recovery, but that recovery is probably never going to be the same as his hair would have been had he started treatment as soon as he noticed some hair loss. That's just, true, right? And you can see many examples. Now, there are some people who are lucky enough who, maybe they're young and they have a severe onset. They start treatment and those follicles can kind of be recovered and go back to a near normal, right? But then there are some people who just don't do anything for the better part of a, half of a decade or a decade plus. And then they get on treatment, they make a recovery, but that recovery is never going to be, whole, right? They're never going to go back to where they were pre-androgenetic alopecia or even early androgenetic alopecia. And the twins are a good analogy of that. So moving on to the next photo we have over here, this is just another good comparison between twin A versus twin B. So let me just mark them down real quick so we have just a good reference. Twin A and twin B. And yeah, just look at that, right? Twin A maintained a perfect juvenile hairline, while twin B, he has hair, right? He does have some hair. I'm not sure if this picture was before the last one we looked at, but if it's not, or whether or not it is, just the comparison should be, obviously his twin is doing better, right? And although twin B made a recovery of some kind, I keep reiterating this, that recovery doesn't seem to be whole. And maybe we can have these guys on for an interview one day, and hopefully twin A can donate some hair to twin B. That's a horrible arrow. Let me try that again. There we go. Yeah, there we go. All right, so that's it for this video, guys. Just remember to take your treatment. If you're a bit on the fence about it, this should be the analogy, right? Because the longer you wait, the worse your recovery will be. You may recover some hairs, but you won't recover as many hairs as you could have compared to if you started as early as you could have, if that makes sense, right? And it's not even just about recovering the hairs themselves too. The quality of the hair probably won't be the same if you wait too long. So guys, get on treatment, start it, and hopefully, that works out for you. That being said, I have to plug the company that I started. It's called Folligens, FOLLIGENZ.com, and we have liposomal monoxidil sulfate as an emulsion. Right now we're doing a sale for the year's end because it's December, so hopefully you guys can go check it out and maybe even try it out. Unfortunately, we are sold out with the 5%, and we're going to work on, increasing the batches and trying to get this production up. But thank you guys so much. It's been a very, very fruitful year, although we've mainly been, selling things for the past 3 to 4 months. But still, this process has been very, very nice, and I just want to reach out and help as many people as I can. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace out.